I'm Jamie, and this is Book Tease, the podcast that reminds you that even the mom next door likes her fiction filthy. We are in April. Yay! Happy April. This kicks off our Love and Bloom series. Yay! I love spring, y'all. I love flowers. I love planting my roses and my peppers, and I love playing in the garden. So I'm super excited for this series. Okay. I read the first book of this series years ago, eons ago, in fact. And the garden scene in this book is what pushed me to do a Love and Bloom series. Because the garden scene just kind of stuck in my head and stuck with me for years. And so I reread the book for this episode, and it did not disappoint. It was just as much fun the second time as it was the first time. This is a true rom-com, like in all the silliness and over-the-top characters and all the giggles, and this was a true fun rom-com. Okay, so we're doing Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, and it is book 1 in a Vine Mess series. Oh, and as a reminder, this podcast does contain spoilers. You have been warned. In fact, this podcast is basically one large spoiler. Yay. Okay, so Hallie Welsh is our heroine, and she is a bubbly, sunshiny, very curvaceous gardener, very much a free spirit type. We love body diversity and we love body positivity. And I love seeing a heroine that is super curvy and full-figured and just confident with it. That's beautiful, and I love it. So that's Hallie. And then we have Julian Voss, her complete opposite. He is very regimented, very kind of grumpy, but very anxiety-riddled. And he is this tall, lean professor. Very, very anxiety-riddled. And his parents and his family own a very prominent vineyard in Napa Valley, in St. Helena, where the book takes place. So he's used to having money, and he's used to his family name being recognized for something prominent. Whereas Hallie has floated around. She is just very much a free spirit. Time is very relative type. Whereas Julian is very much I have to do things by the book, and I have to do things on my schedule, or the world's going to end. So it's a very interesting opposites attract, grumpy sunshine kind of dynamic we have here. So Hallie has been visiting this town to visit her grandmother for the majority of her life. And her and Julian actually met when she was younger, like 13, 14, something like that. She was a freshman in high school, and they met at a party that Julian's sister wasn't supposed to throw. But he showed up and he was annoyed, so he had been drinking. I don't know how old he was, though. I thought he was in high school, but maybe he's a little older. And they met and they flirted and they almost kissed, and then he realized her age, freaked out a little bit, brought her back to the party, and departed. And Hallie, has held this crush, this flame for Julian all this time. She has compared every man to him, and she is just like had this unrequited, love-struck crush on Julian this entire time. And she's kept track of his goings-on through like Facebook, through social media, just like checking on him. And she moved to St. Helena at around age 14 to live with her grandmother permanently. But at that point, Julian had already left. He had already moved out to go do his own thing because there were some fires, and he moved right after that because he had a huge anxiety attack. His dad said some really hurtful, cruel things, and basically told him that he had no business trying to help run the vineyard. And so Julian really took it to heart because he was already beating himself up about the anxiety attack, and he took off. She moves into town at age 14, right after Julian officially moved out. So they kind of missed each other like two ships in the night. So, she found out, beginning of this book, that Julian's moved back to town, at least for a while. He's took an extended leave from his professor duties, and he works, of course, at an Ivy League school. And yes, he is the strict professor type. But he wants to write a book, a historical fiction novel. So he moves back to Santa Helena to write this book. And he's staying in his family's guest house because he and his family aren't very close. In fact, none of them are close. They have that like rich family, stiff dynamic, very interesting. Cliche, very interesting. So he's staying in the guest house and he's writing this book. And he's doing it to the point where he is like, I have to write in 30-minute increments, and I cannot stop writing until I finish my set writing time. And if I do, then I'm not allowed to drink a glass of whiskey at the end of the day. I mean, this man has scheduled himself within an inch of his life, and I could not. I'm getting suffocated just thinking about how he lives. But like I said, Hallie's the complete opposite. She finds out he's in town, and so she calls up his mother, and she tells him, oh, I have these beautiful flowers that I think would work great at the guest house, and I'd love to go work on it. And so, of course, Julian's mother is very much like, we've got to look good in society. So she tells Hallie, yeah, that sounds great. So Hallie shows up in all her chaoticness with 3 dogs while this man's trying to write, and starts planting flowers in the garden and causing a ruckus, and it's all very funny. And he's annoyed about it, but he also can't get over the fact that she's hot. She's hot. She's showing off her curves in some little shorts with no fear of anyone judging her body, and he is so into it. But he also shouldn't be into it because he's supposed to be getting his writing done, and he needed peace and quiet. And he's trying to fight his attraction. Meanwhile, she realizes he doesn't even remember her from that party. And so her feelings are hurt. And he realizes that, because she says something like, well, it was nice seeing you again, Julian. And so he's like, oh shit, we've met before. I've met the hot, bubbly, crazy gardener lady before. And how do I not remember? So he's beating himself up, and she becomes this distraction to him. Distracting him from his very regimented schedule, from his writing, from everything he's trying to remember. Why don't I remember her? Where do I know her from? Anyway, upset that he doesn't remember her, she goes drinking with her very hilarious best friend, Lavinia, and she's British, and their dynamic is so funny. I love her friend. Her friend is freaking gold. She is so funny, man. They have a drunken night, and during this drunken night, she decides, I'm gonna write Julian a secret admirer letter. And her friend Lavinia is like, oh, doll, don't do that. Don't do that. Promise me you won't do that. Like, it's just a joke between us, right? Don't really do that. But Hallie, in all her crazy chaoticness, is like, oh, I promise I won't. And then that very night, drunk in the back maneuver, she writes a letter and leaves it where she knows he's going to run by in the morning. So he gets this letter, this secret admirer letter. And he ends up writing back. And so they are now interacting in real life, and they are now interacting in secret admirer letters. Well, his sister comes to visit too, and it's very clear that something's happened in her world. But since they're not close, they're not going to just open up and tell each other. So, distracted by Hallie and all her craziness, not actually getting any writing done, he and his sister start building their relationship back as well. And then slowly they introduce their mom, and he finds out that the family vineyard is in trouble and has been since the fires. It never really got back on track, despite the fact that his mother has been working tirelessly trying to make it happen. And he went off and has been a professor. His sisters went off and done great things in finances with in New York. So they just left their mother to deal with all this, which was fun because she'd never complain and she can handle it, and she's Corinne. Julian and Hallie start really kind of connecting, right? They're running into each other. She keeps coming and working on the garden. He finally remembers or realizes where he met her before. That gives her the permission she needed to kind of like him back, I guess, or to accept that he likes her. And so they start really kind of connecting. And the more they start connecting and the more their relationship develops, the more guilt she feels about being his secret admirer in these letters. Now, they're not talking anything sexual or anything in these letters. He's saving all of that for real life Hallie. They're just talking emotions. And she is feeling so guilty about being his secret admirer, and she is terrified of him finding out that she's the one writing the letters. I can't tell you why, except that we just needed some sort of conflict to overcome in the book, because she's so honest and free-spirited with everything else. I'm not understanding why she doesn't just say, Julia, by the way, remember when I told you that I had a big crush on you back then and I really liked when we almost kissed? Well, guess what? I wrote you that secret. But she thinks that he's going to be like, oh, that's it. That's the straw. She's severely delusional and crazy and goofy and chaotic. He could see she's crazy and goofy and chaotic in real life. I don't know why she is so pressed that he not find this out. But we needed some sort of conflict for them to overcome. Yeah, he does a lot of sweet things for her. He helps her like with some of her crazy chaotic plans. Like she goes to they go to this event, this wine event called like Wine Down Napa. I don't know. I go to that, and her in all her like chaotic, like I'm just gonna do whateverness, ends up watching everyone's kids, and she doesn't know how to watch everyone's kids. She's not a professional. She has no help, but now she's watching like 15 to 20 kids by herself, and she gives them all donuts, so they're super hyped up, and he steps in to help save the day because it was like a crazy mess. And just little things like that he's helping her with. Well, the book gets very spicy, and she turns out to be a 29-year-old virgin because she is like held everyone up to the Julian Voss standard, and apparently to her everyone's fallen short, so she's not liked anyone enough to lose her virginity. But he takes care of that, man, and she ends up losing her virginity in a field during a wine tasting that they walk away from, and they go off into someone else's vineyard and you have sex, and it's nice and dirty and whatever. And yeah, he's filthy talker and she's into it. So that happens. And then he tells her, hey, you're mine. You're officially my girlfriend, which is very nice because she still hasn't told him that she's the one who's written letters. But then, she decides, okay, that's it. I've got to let him know. And instead of just telling him face to face, she decides, I'm going to write one more letter and confess all. So she does, and she leaves it. Well, they end up having a date before he gets to the letter. And this is when they have the garden scene. Oh my God, this man is obsessed with her dirty knees and her beautiful curves. Like, he is like very obsessed with her luscious boobs. And he's like always looking at him, obsessing about him. He's just like so into her boobs, which rightfully so. He should be. But also, she's always bending down, um, working in the garden. And so she always has dirty knees. She wears a lot of shorts, and he's just like fixated on like these dirty knees. He's got a fetish about them, which is somewhere in the middle of sexy and weird. So he's obsessed with her dirty knees. And they have this garden scene where she brings him to her garden. Yes, literally and figuratively. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I know, I couldn't help it, okay? But they go to her secret garden. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with that. She has built this beautiful garden in her backyard, and it's her favorite place. So she shows him her favorite place, and they end up having sex in this garden, like doggy style. And he has her get on her hands and knees, and he's like, rub your knees in the dirt. Like, and that, I don't know why, has stuck out in my head for years. That, like, he wants her to really rub her knees in the dirt so she's covered in dirt. And she's like, I was wearing nothing but moonlight. And this is when he sees her completely naked for the first time. And she has that minute of hesitation that I feel like books usually about, I don't know, a good 70% of the time give a heroine who has luscious curves, who is full bodied. They always seem to give her that little bit of hesitation or nerves, like, oh, he's gonna see me and my jiggles, and and I want to be annoyed at that, but it's also hyper realistic. I mean, yeah, when have we not as women? And I'm sure men feel some self-consciousness as well. I don't know. I'm not a man. I can't speak to that. But as a woman, I can speak to getting naked for in front of someone for the first time. There was always that little bit of, are you gonna like what you see? Are you gonna like? What about these little stretch marks? Or what about, I might jiggle a little bit. Do I need to like hold myself up? Like, so I get it. I get it. It is realistic, and they handled it in a very cute, like in a very nice way. Like, she had that flash of hesitation, that just little bit of, and she was very honest, which again makes it weird. Why won't she just tell him she's the secret admirer? But she's very honest. She goes, look, I'm a little nervous for you to see me totally naked. I jiggle. I this or that. I want you to find me attractive, and this is the first time I'm getting naked in front of you. And of course, he reacts with, I cannot wait. I love that you jiggle. I love your curves. I'm obsessed with your boobs. I mean, like, he just lets the filth flag fly out of his mouth. And it's great because he's like, I've never spoken like this with anyone, but it's so freeing. And she loves it because it just turns her on, and she doesn't have to get in her head. She's like, this dude here is just telling me exactly what he thinks about me and my body. And I mean, y'all, he says this line, and I didn't write it down because I wasn't going to share it because it's pretty filthy, and I usually don't share the spicier quotes. But this man tells her, whilst grabbing a handful of her business, says that, I love that you jiggle when I'm stuffing this fool. Oh my God. Just tell us what you really think, Well, anyway, she's into it, and they do all that. It's great. Well, they're in bed, and she decides, I can't let him just find this letter. I need to go get the letter and tell him in person. So this woman goes out at like 2 a.m. and goes to retrieve this letter. And while she's gone, he wakes up and freaks the fuck out that she's not there. Because like I said, he has anxiety. And the other time he had a huge anxiety episode was when his sister was in trouble during the fires. She was in a burning building because the fire came like 4 hours faster than they thought it was supposed to come. And he ran into a burning building to save her. And then he had a panic episode. Well, now here's this woman he's falling in love with, and she's just gone. And he's like, I don't know where she's at. She just disappeared. Her dogs are still here. She never goes anywhere without her dogs. Anyway, it scares him, and he ends up having this panic attack. And when he has these major panic attacks, he's like out for 2 weeks. Like it fucks him up for 2 weeks. So he goes off, and she thinks we broke up. Because he finds out during this panic attack, he sees the letter, and that's when he finds out that she's the writer of the letters. And so she takes it as he's just so mad about me being the writer of the letters that we're basically broken up and he's taken off. I guess I get why she's thinking that. She's projecting, but he's actually just in the middle of a panic episode and he's disassociating. And he went home and he's been writing nonstop for 2 weeks in his dissociative state. And then he finally comes out of it in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, he's missed a bunch of calls from her. She thinks she's walking around thinking that they broke up and she's screwed it all up. And she's like, oh, why did I ever think I could be a better person? I don't know. She's beating herself up. And he realizes, oh my God, I've been out for 2 weeks. Like he's finally come to and he's lost all this time. He finished his book and he thinks it sucks. I thought that was a hilarious touch because he's so regimented and he is so like, everything must be perfect. He comes out of this state and he's like, I don't even care about my main character because he's too perfect. Like he didn't have to overcome anything. He's boring. And so he's like, I had to write this so I can realize that there's beauty in imperfections. Imperfections are actually perfect and needed and necessary and make things more beautiful and more interesting. And that's why he loves Hallie so much. She's not perfect, but she's perfect for him. And he's like, I've got to fix this because she thinks I just left her and I didn't choose to go into a dissociative state. I need to explain that to her. And so he like throws this huge planting party and has her friend Lavinia pick her up, who is so funny because she's like, you have to just get out of my car because I cannot keep a secret and I am 2 seconds from busting Hallie. Get out of my vehicle. It's so funny. She's like, I'm trying to keep the secret. Get out of my car. And Hallie's like, what are you doing? Why are we at the Voss Vineyard? We're at the Voss Vineyard because Mr. Julian decided to like wrangle in a bunch of people from the town and everyone who loves Hallie and do this huge planting party where he bought a bunch of flowers and he told everyone just plant them anywhere with no rhyme or reason. I mean, I'm not as regimented as Julian, but even that gives me anxiety. There's no plan. You're just going to let people plant random flowers all over your vineyard. But I guess he's doing that to show her, hey, I can loosen reins enough that I really want to be with you and I love you. And she's very known for not having a plan when she tackles a project. She just says, okay, I mood plant, a plant where I feel the flowers need to go. But she also has an artistic eye, so she has kind of a plan. It's just not a written plan. Like she knows what's going to work. These people are just out there throwing plants. I don't know. I felt like his reasoning was sweet. His meaning was sweet. But it wouldn't have worked on me. So I would be like, well, stop this right now. We're going to come up with a plan. Don't you just plant things randomly, willy-nilly. Anyway, that was his big grand gesture and it works. And he centers her. She relaxes him. It's all very sweet. And the next book is set up, which the next book was really good. I've already read the second book in Divine Mess, and it's with his sister and this dude. He's a ex-Navy SEAL who decides he wants to run a vineyard, and that one's great. So yeah, you should read that one as well. But I like this book a lot. I'm giving it 4 stars. And the spice level is at a 3 because his mouth is filthy. And apparently he loves her dirty knees and her big boobs. So let's move on to, I know we went through that really, really quickly, but there wasn't a whole lot of plot to work through. It was basically he's trying to overcome his anxiety and she's trying to rein it in and come up with a plan and be better at business. So they help each other, and it's very beautiful. And I don't even have a lot of quotes because this book is, I don't know how to put it politely. It's a fluff novel. That's what it is. And that's great. It's wonderful to have a fluff novel every now and then. And that's exactly what this is. It's just a fun, very light read. There are some topics of anxiety and things like that in there, but overall, it's a very light, fun read. It's not anything that's going to be heavy. It's something you could pick up and bring to the beach or sit in your garden and read it. And it's great. You're going to love Julian's filthy mouth, and you're going to love Hallie's just chaotic, beautiful energy. She is Julian described her as a human sunflower. And I felt like that was just perfect. She's always smiling. She's bright and cheerful. She's always, facing towards the sun. And it's just, she's impossible to not like. Okay, here's some quotes. This one, no one actually said it, but it was a quote in the book. And it just describes Hallie so beautifully that I had to put it in there. She didn't have a method to her madness. It was all gut feelings and mood planting. Chaotic like the rest of her life. That does sum up Callie. I've said it several times, chaotic and just moves like the breeze, and she's just such a likable person. And here's Julian when he finally realizes how he knows her and stuff, and they're about to have their first make-out session. And he's apologizing for not remembering her straight off. He says, I want to feel you forgive me. I want to taste it in your mouth. I want to learn you, Hallie. Let me learn. Okay, Julian. As long as you keep talking like that, sir, I guess you can learn whatever you want. This would make such a fun summer movie. I would watch it. I mean, it would give you giggles. It's not a huge emotional investment. It's just something that's fun, light, make you laugh, make you giggle, enjoy spring, enjoy the weather, think of flowers and sunshine, and go out and be like, oh, we're all happy people. And sometimes you really just need a book like that. And so I recommend it as one that's just going to lighten you up, cheer you up, and just be sweet and fun. And I think it would make a great movie. And I'm really fucking pleased with my casting. Okay. I went with, for Hallie, and come on. Once I tell you who, you're not going to be able to unsee it. She is absolute perfection for Hallie. I'm chilled. I love this. I love my casting for Hallie. Nicola Coughlan. Take a second. Perfection, right? Perfection. She's so beautiful. Yes. Penelope from Bridgerton. And yeah. Lady Whistledown herself would make the absolute perfect I was going to say the absolute perfect Penelope. The absolute perfect Hallie. And I'm very pleased with my counterpart. For Julian, I went with Callum Turner. He is in Emma, Fantastic Beasts, the new movie that just came out in 2025, Eternity. He's perfect. He's got that, he can be funny, but he's also got that stern, stiff upper lip. Very handsome still, very tall. And they do talk about the height difference between Hallie and Julian quite a bit. So yeah, I think physically it'd be perfect because one thing about Julian is he's not super cut, muscular, he's an avid runner. He runs every single day because it's part of his routine. So he is very fit, but he's fit in a way where it's almost not dad body, but almost like she makes the point of saying that if he stopped running for like a week, it would catch up to him. And she loves that. I love it too. Sounds great. So yeah, he's I think Callum Turner, perfect, and him next to Nicola Coughlan. I love Nicola Coughlan. She's just, to me, like, so beautiful. Like, her skin and her curves and her hair. And yeah, she's Hallie. I could see her just being cheerful and smiley and happy, and you want to protect her in all her sweet innocence. And that's Hallie. So that's it. Very quick episode, very fun, light read, and the perfect beginning to our Love and Bloom series. Yeek! I love it. So join me back next week for another beautiful, blooming book. It'll be fun, and we're going to have just a wonderful spring. And thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, stay spicy.
And that's it for this episode of Book Tease. Book and theme reveals and episode commentary can be found at TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Book Tease Pod. Theme music is by The Scraps, and until next time, stay spicy.